All right, good morning, guys. Happy Wednesday. Give me a quick sound check here in the Essentials room. Make sure we are G to G. All right, Omer, Lorna, good to go. All right, folks, I'm going to fly through this. I got to drop the dog off for a checkup. But yeah, so here's the scoop. Pretty good flush there yesterday. And a lot of that weakness is in big tech and the big semis. So if we go look at the sheet here, pretty big divergence between what's working and what's not working. On the indexes, the RSP gets a 39 out of 60. Dow gets a 24. S&Ps get a 7. A sad little 7. And then check out QQQ. Qs get a negative 17. The only index with a negative score. But notice the divergence between the RSP and the SPX. SPX is your weighted index, while the RSP is your equal weighted index. The equal weight gets a 39. The weighted gets a 7. What that tells us is few things are doing all right. Few things not looking too hot. Looking over here at the sectors and who's doing good. All right, it's XLP with a perfect 60. Real estate, healthcare, utilities, little transports, industrials. You've got Bitcoin in negative 41. More importantly, the semiconductors negative 33, XLK in negative 25. Few things trying to keep the ship afloat. Few things getting a good spanking. What this can do for the S&Ps, the S&Ps kind of end up caught in the middle. All right, let me get my drawing tool here. All right, so here's the S&Ps, and on one end, you've got things like the industrials, XLP, financials, healthcare. They're trying to keep the ship afloat, trying to take the market higher. They're doing their thing. And then on the other end, you have things like SMH, QQQ, and then pretty much everything on my personal watch list. AMAC gets a negative 45. AMD gets a negative 39. Google negative 39. Microsoft negative 37. The big bad Nvidia negative 27. So point being, the things that are showing more weakness, in my opinion, they're more important names. All right, bigger stocks, more heavily weighted in comparison to an XLP and a Procter & Gamble or an IYR and stocks in that sector. The idea of rotation, and mind you, that can work. Compare QQQ to XLP. QQQ is a GIMS, while XLP just makes a beautiful move here out of that daily squeeze. Rotation can work, rotation can last, but I also think we get to a point where if they keep on hammering the bigger, more heavily weighted names, right, you get Nvidia down 4 or 5% every day. They're hitting Apple, they're hitting Meta, they're hitting Amazon. At some point, because these names matter so much, that can have a negative impact on everything. They keep on hammering QQQ. They keep on hammering big semis, big tech. At some point, that can have an impact on the S&Ps. And I think you saw a little bit of that yesterday. S&Ps keep going down. At some point, down goes industrials, healthcare, XLP, all the things that are currently trying to work. With that being said, the sheet says pretty clearly, if we're looking to get long, it's not going to be big tech, big semis. The context would be, if they can't stop falling, going to put a lot of pressure on the market. At some point, it might put enough pressure on the market. XLPs, healthcare, utilities, they might get caught up in the crossfire. All right, then if you go check in the Qs here, I'll show you the futures. And we got a little overnight short here on the futures. I think the really important level into Friday, 1950. So notice here on the daily chart, you're always looking at a chart through the lens of two different variables: the momentum of the chart and the structure. So notice back here, this is May. All right, back in May on the big three squeeze, momentum crosses positive. From there, what do they do with structure? They align the structure for a move higher. Price back above the 21, you're back above the 50. 21 back above the 50. At some point, you're getting stacked EMAs. First, you got good momentum. Then you got good structure. With that, you can get a good trend. Right, so this time around, they get that little short-lived momentum cross. They never really improve the structure. 21 EMA still under the 50. They never get positively stacked EMAs. Very nice rally. Doesn't leave the structure of the chart in a position where you keep on trending higher. Now as momentum crosses back below zero, and we're getting ourselves a fresh daily sell signal, if they can't prop it and keep it back above the weekly 21, MQ, that's 1950-ish. If anything, just call it 19,100. If they can't get the MQ back above 19,100, and if they can't get the cash product, QQQ, we should gap down just below it this morning. Call that 461. Weekly 21 EMA. If we go into Friday below that level, first weekly close back below weekly support with a sell signal on a 2-hour down to a 5-minute. I think that'd all be a combination, potentially for a bigger flush here. If they can get it and hold it above the weekly 21, doesn't fix all the problems. I don't think you're going to buy calls just because of that. But that can put a temporary Band-Aid on things. So really important level there on the Qs. And then I told my room yesterday, the same way you would watch the VIX, the tick, the advanced decline, make Nvidia one of your internals. With the understanding, Nvidia is a really, really important, really big piece of the puzzle. You might be trading Goldman Sachs, right? Totally different sector, totally unrelated. They take Nvidia to $100 today. It's just going to put pressure on everything. So I think you want to watch that like an internal. The flush yesterday kind of leaves Nvidia in no man's land. We are below the daily 50. We are below the daily 21. Momentum kicking back below zero. Bunch of lower time frame sell signals. And if I got to find a big level of support, if they can't hold the weekly mean, I don't have anything really until the prior lows. Maybe the big sexy round number at $100. But yeah, treat Nvidia very much like a market internal. Market bounces a bit this morning. You're getting a few lower time frame buy signals, and then boom, Nvidia's just getting slammed. Everything might roll over with it. So keep an eye on the big bad Nvidia into Friday, and also for today's session. Keep an eye on the weekly 21 for QQQ and the NQ. And then, yeah, just, try to take a step back and see the 40,000 foot view. We could crank up the scans. We could look for things that look like the ideal long. And I bet we would find a few. Where would they be? They wouldn't be in my personal watch list. Maybe a JP Morgan. But for the most part, they're not going to be big tech, big semis. It'd be XLPs, real estate, healthcare, utilities, transports. You're looking for a long, I think that's where you continue to look. In the perfect world, I think you day trade all of that. XLP looks awesome. But we're also at a point where the daily squeeze already fired. And now we're about 3 ATR above the 21. XLP could gap down to $81. Chart still looks rock solid. Can say the same thing about financials. 100 times better than tech. Right? Buy signals, all bells and whistles. But yeah, we're also up here at 3 ATR. The thing could pull back to $44. Still looks nice and bullish. You can avoid a little of that, overnight, here comes the pullback risk by just day trading it. So keep an eye on all the above, my good friends, but I've got to hit the road here. My dog had a few teeth removed last week, so she's got to get a checkup. But yeah, for those of you in the mastery, I'm going to go drop her off, and then I'll be back on the mic with you in our room at 8:20 a.m. Central. I'll take y'all through the first hour, and we'll see what's cracking here. Thank you for your time as always. Have a great morning. And for those of you watching on YouTube, I've got a good video coming to the channel tonight that I think you'll enjoy. So keep an eye on that. Adios, y'all.